Tim Johnson here, and welcome. Welcome to the Tim Johnson Show, located in Grand Blanc, Michigan. I'm here with two special guests, actually my co-host, Hugh Roberts, and Miss Keisha, Jesus Christ, Keisha Norman.
Yes.
A very special guest today, and I'm going to let Hugh take it from here.
Again, we just want to say hello to our listening audience again, our viewing audience, and today we have a wonderful guest. Miss Newman is here, and she's going to be talking a little bit about black ownership and black businesses in our community. We're going to kind of cover a few things in our community that she's going to touch on. We want to try to give her a voice, and we want you guys to be collectively engaged in this because this is critical. At this time in our community, ownership is so important. When you think about power, power does not concede. And you have to have power to deal with power. And one thing that we're working to do is wake our community up about empowerment, about self-ownership. And don't be ashamed about that. That's something that we as a community have to really work on to understand to compete in this global economy that we're dealing in. Talk about capitalism. We have to have our feet founded in a foundation of understanding what equity really means and how we can collectively use our resources where we can have a voice at the table. A lot of times when you think at the table, when laws and policies are developed, we're not even at the table. So a lot of times we got to invent our own tables. And again, many of you guys need to, in closing, I'm going to talk and I'm going to circle back around with 1921 Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the importance of that. But right now I want to introduce a wonderful guest here and a good friend of mine. I've worked with her over the years, and we have developed a relationship like brothers and sisters. I have a lot of respect for her. She has been in the forefront of doing some wonderful things with our students in the classroom. She has stepped up in so many awesome ways, and if I can do anything to help her, I'm committed to doing all I can to help her. And how are you doing today, Miss Keisha? Good to see you.
I am well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for coming. And again, make sure you look into the camera.
Okay.
So what we want to really talk and give you a voice on some concerns you have basically dealing with your line of work and some things that you're dealing with the Barber College and some things that you have structurally tried to do, making sure that you have a foot or a place, a seat at the table, being able to continue to do the work that God has blessed you to do.
Okay, absolutely. First of all, again, my name is Keisha Norman, and I am the owner of Teach to Reach, formerly School of Cosmetology. We're now transitioning into becoming a school of barbering. And so that's why I'm here today to talk to Mr. Roberts about some of the issues surrounding business ownership, entrepreneurship here in the community of Flint especially. So thank you for having me, Mr. Johnson, thank you. Mr. Roberts, thank you.
Thank you.
So just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I am a licensed cosmetologist as well as a licensed barber instructor here in the city of Flint and state of Michigan. I have been operating Teach to Reach now for about 10 years. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that. We have engaged in the community throughout these 10 years with Mr. Johnson. You've been there to support Teach to Reach on so many occasions, and as well as Mr. Roberts, you've been there to support Teach to Reach and the young people. Our goal and our purpose at Teach to Reach is to really give back to the community and to help our young people strive and be successful as business owners, as entrepreneurs and things like that. So that's our goal at Teach to Reach. And what we've done in the past is we've had young people come to our events, one particularly on Martin Luther King Day, where we show the young people the basics of personal grooming, how to cut hair, and things like that. And it has grown over the years, and every year you guys have supported it and been a part of it. And again, thank you for that. It means so much to not only to myself, but to the young people as well. So what we're looking to do is to expand that. We need to take that to the next level. And the only way we can do that is through me being a licensed cosmetologist and barber, is to go to the state of Michigan and get that license for the barber school. So that's what we're in the process of doing. If you're not aware, I want to share a little bit of history about the industry here in Flint. Now here in Flint, we have been blessed, and no shade, we have been blessed to have a barber college that has been around for 90 plus years.
Wow.
Yes, 90 plus years. However,
Wow.
the issue surrounding that is the fact that there has not been another barber college to come up in addition to that. And the reason being is because there has been a hindrance in the educational process for young people who are licensed barbers to become licensed instructors. That it's been a cap on that for years, for obviously like 90 years here in the city of Flint. I'm only focusing on the city of Flint.
Right.
And so with that being said, I myself I'm one of the limited licensed instructors here in Flint. And there needs to, in order to, the process to open up a barber college requires 2 licensed professional instructors. The problem is we've never let anybody go through that door to receive that opportunity to become licensed instructors.
Okay.
So the resources for licensed instructors are very limited. So there's none available.
Okay.
You won't find one here in the city of Flint.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate, because I have a list right on my phone here of over 20 licensed barbers here in the city of Flint. And that's just the people that I know, that I associate with. So just imagine over 90 years how many barbers have gone through that program and have not been able to get their instructor's license. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for many reasons. It's unfortunate because we don't have the opportunity to grow within our, I'm going to say, Black community. As African Americans, we need more schools in our community to support the young people and be able to relate and reach our young people the way we can talk and relate and reach our young people. They need to see Black men in those roles, teaching them the fundamentals of grooming, of barbering. That is so important when they see that from someone that looks like them.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's my goal.
Now, I would like to ask the question when you was talking about the instruction or the instructor and what that really means to our community and how impactful that can be. So our audience can understand. So you're saying that the Barber College has had a monopoly for over 90 years. And they are choosing to make sure that those individuals that could probably go into to become an instructor have not been given the opportunity to become an instructor because there's a cap on it.
Well, let me say, I don't know the ins and outs of the process at that particular barber college.
Okay.
So I cannot say with a certainty and a factual statement how they have been hindered. All I know is that none exist in the city of Flint.
Okay.
But a very few, and you can count them on 2 fingers.
Who owns the barber college?
Is it privately owned?
It is privately owned. Yes, it is privately owned.
So it's a privately owned institution that is licensing individuals from the state.
Yes, you can go through the program currently, get a barber license, but the opportunity, and I've heard this from, like I said, I had a list of over 20 barbers right now who would love the opportunity to become licensed barber instructors. They said they've reached out to that institution and they were refused the opportunity to further their education to get an instructor's license. Now again, I don't know the ins and outs of that, so I can't speak on that exactly in terms of what all that entails, but I do know they have not been able to do that.
Now, Hugh, we real talk, right?
Right.
This is real talk. So that means we got some homework to do.
Yes, sir.
We got to do some digging and find out just what's going on over there. I think that's worth checking into.
It's definitely worth checking into.
Okay, all right.
Now, but from your understanding, you were saying that if there are not instructors, to your knowledge, as far as being allowed to go to the next level. Now, what are some of the research or some of the questions you have asked from the state level? How have you contacted people from the state level over the over the Barber College at the state level or at the governor's level?
I appreciate you asking that question. I have reached out to the governor's office. I have reached out to the Board of Barbering Licensing Division of the state of Michigan, and I have asked that specific question. There has to be some opportunity for small businesses because, like myself, I'm very, very small. The barber college that I currently have literally like 2 barber chairs. So I'm not at the capacity of another barber college.
Right.
So the requirements for that barber college in some ways should absolutely be different for someone who's smaller and starting off really, really small. So that was my request to the state of Michigan and to the governor. First of all, 2 things I would like for our barber community to really focus on. I want the barber community to focus on going to the board meetings. They have board meetings every 3 to 4 months. We need representation at those board meetings. They need to hear our voice. They need to know what our concerns are. When we go to those board meetings, it's very few people that you can point out and say, oh, okay, they're from my community. We need to come together in masses. Go to those board meetings. Express your concern for this.
Is it open to everyone? As far as barbers?
Yes, it's open to the public.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, it's open to anyone, but especially barbers.
Okay.
And the link for the information, of course, with the COVID and all of that, it's been, postponed, but you can go to the website, the Michigan website, and find all that information on the website as far as when those meetings are held. So that's the first thing. We need those barbers to participate. We need the barbers to be involved and have a voice and express their concern. And then the other thing is changing some of those laws, adjusting those laws because they've been around for 100 years, 90 plus years, and so things have changed. Our communities have evolved. The way we think, the way we do things, it's changed. So the laws need to adapt to those changes. And so the only way we can do that is to present those requests to the state, to our governor, to the barbering board, and say, hey, this needs to change. There's no way that we're going to have up and coming barber schools, flourishing if that cap is on there and no one ever does anything about it. No one's done anything about it for 90 years, and it's time for change.
It's interesting that like you say, this is real talk. And we saw people go up to Lansing with guns and everything and wanting this our community to be open and wanting to be able to go get their haircuts and the beauty shops and all those kind of things. And then when we hear Ms. Newman talking about all of the stumbling blocks that are in place for people of different ethnic groups to be able to flourish in that environment. And then I hear another thing coming from you as far as locally, getting the barbers locally, educating them so they can understand what their power is collectively to go to these board meetings, to be aware and collectively start saying that we are demanding, let alone just stop asking, that we're demanding some things to be changed. And that goes back to saying that, if we don't know, what's going on at the table or at those meetings because we're not at those tables.
If you're not at the table, how you going to know?
How you going to know? And so then there may be an effort that maybe we could help you with as far as with the local barbers, getting some kind of information out to them so they can be clearer about understanding what their power is and how they want to go to the next level.
Absolutely.
I think you nailed it when you said the fact that if the barbers come together, and it could be privately owned barbershops around the whole city, but if they come together and try to find out if these laws have been on the book for years and years and years, they don't fit no more, then it's time to change them. And I like when she said it's time, because I've been saying that throughout my whole, it's time. It's time for a change. It's time to get real and stop holding back how we feel and letting people and letting certain organizations or certain laws on the book hold you back from moving forward. that it's time to change that.
Absolutely.
And now is the time. Now is the time. So I'm sorry.
No, that's good because we're tying it into the climate of our community today. You know, if you look at what NASCAR just did the other day with Bubba Wallace and the noose that was found in his car, and Richard Petty coming out there, and I'm a NASCAR lover, but I had some concerns with the Confederacy. But when you see that kind of passion that's developing, and then you seeing corporate and other people are saying, what can they do? Like they just finding out that there's bigotry and all this kind of stuff just came out the woodworks like it always had been here. But even if some people are coming slow to the party, and again, one thing that I'm really, really concerned about that's taking place, with all the marching and protesting,
that this will still happen.
We don't own anything in our communities, and other people own everything in our community, but we want to march and protest.
Ain't that something?
And not own nothing.
Exactly.
Now, we need to change this whole mindset, because when you think about what's going on, you keep asking somebody to do something for you or for your community. What are you willing to do? And that's why we're talking to Ms. Newman right now, and then others, because understand, like she said, it's so important when you think about grooming or self-grooming or etiquette. When our students, and I've seen students do little things and accomplish little things, and how that gives them confidence. You'd be surprised how a child learning how to do some basic things with their bodies and their hair, and how that makes them feel and helps them to go to the next level. A lot of times they will listen to us when we're not just talking down to them, but when we are talking with them and motivating them and encouraging them. And I'd like to put this call out to our barbers in our community. I am calling you barbers right now in the community. We need to link up with Ms. Newman. This is important that we need to really, really work on doing and really strategize. We need to really strategize and really, really analyze the situation, and then how we're going to move forward to attack it. Because as she just said, over 90 years, different things being in place, and I'm just saying about NASCAR, which is big, big, big. You know, to be honest with you, that's big for them to take the Confederate flag out of there. I'm telling you guys, that's almost like them dying and going to heaven. So what we need to do in our community is wake our community up and start demanding excellence and stop being afraid to being black.
I appreciate you saying that. Yes, I want to join the call with Mr. Roberts for all the licensed barbers. If you're a licensed professional, you can reach out to myself personally.
Give me your number.
My name is Keisha Norman, and my telephone number is 810-391-9912. And I'm available to assist in any way so that we can get more people involved on those committees. Submitting your application to become board members for the barbering board. That is so important to have our voice on that board. Petition the governor to help change those laws. You know, we have to do this quickly. We can't wait another 90 years. We have to do this right now.
The window's open now, and before it closes. You know, what bothers me, Jesus, is the fact that what's going on in our community and what we saw going on around the world, how do we argue and fight or stand together for something that happened around the world in another area of our country, when you got issues going on right here in our city that we can't even come together on? And I mean, we got young guys losing their life every night on the street out there. Nobody's talking about it. Matter of fact, the homicide rate, as we was talking earlier, done doubled. The shooting rate done tripled, and nobody's talking about it. And almost every other night, there's somebody getting killed on the streets in Flint, and nobody is saying nothing about it. You know, same thing when it comes down to the business part of it. You got businesses in Flint that's trying to do certain things, that's trying to make it right for the whole city, but you're out there fighting the battle by yourself. By yourself. And I can say that about her because she's always had an entrepreneur spirit heart. You know, she's always been out there and trying to do that. So, and here
Let me correct you. I'm not by myself. It's only by the grace of God that I have made it this far. But yes, please go ahead.
Exactly. And I say that all the time. It's by the grace. It's by the grace. So when I say by yourself, I mean fellow people out there like yourself that's in your profession, that's not standing out there with you. And it makes for a hard road to travel. And I'm going to tell you that by himself. Now I'm gonna throw that one on him too. He stand there and hold that line by himself. A lot of times when I see him out there for a cause, it don't matter where he stand, and he's not afraid to stand anywhere. And I've saw him some of every places fighting that cause by himself. You know, and it shouldn't have to be. It shouldn't be like that.
You're right.
It shouldn't be like that.
Right.
How do you come together and unite about someone or somebody that you never even met or don't know, when you got people in your own city that you do know that's trying to do things, and you can't even come together in your own city and community? I'm still trying to figure that one out. So when you guys get an answer, please just let me know.
Well,
because
the real answer is, a simple answer is culture conditioning. A lot of times when you think about why we continue to hate ourselves and we internalize this victimization, because we have been conditioned to be jealous and envious of each other. So again, if you look at the haves and the have-not, or if you got a little or you got a little more, and a lot of times, as you said about the homicide rate, most of that behavior is drawn from a self-hatred, meaning we have a tendency to get angry and to get emotional very quickly based on our lack of understanding and love for one another. And that's at the core of what we're dealing with in our own community, because it could be we family members, and it could be a simple argument between us three. Us three, and then it could blow up into somebody shooting at one another with us three. But if we're level-headed, love each other, even if we disagree, even when we're disagreeing with each other, we still love and respect each other. And a lot of times we're dealing with young people and some older people that are feeling they are hopeless. They feel they have no reason to live. To answer your question, Mr. Johnson, we're dealing with a lot of young people. They have been failed by their parents. Many of them don't have parents, don't have nobody to love them, nobody to care about them, nobody concerned about them. Then you have a community that don't know how to love and care. And then you have a city, and then a state, and then a country. You have all these factors coming against our community, and you wonder how it is that we are sane today. When you really think about people of color and what we've been through and keep going through, how are we sane today? And it's been by the grace of our understanding of a higher power that even has allowed us to be here today. And that's why it's incumbent on us, in honoring our ancestors, that we have to be committed to this. America is a business. And again, calling out, and this is a perfect example how we can take a little, and our community have always taken a little and made a lot out of it.
Well, that's double-sided. So in other words, I think what I'm hearing is actually the system failed us.
Yes.
That's number one. The system failed us.
But let me stop you there. The system really didn't fail us. The system is doing what it's been designed to do. This system was never designed to empower people of color.
You got that right.
So let's be, when you think about entrepreneurship, when you think about integration, we did not integrate Grand Blanc. We did not integrate Flushing or Goodrich or Penn County, or even when you think about Mackinac Island. When you think about the number of plantations that are in Michigan alone, when I mean prisons, I call them plantations. If you think about the number of plantations that are in Michigan alone and across the country, over 7 million, there are more people in prison today that was in slavery back in 1865. Y'all hear this? There are more people in prison today that were enslaved in 1865. And even with that, the Emancipation Proclamation, 40 acres and a mule, we were never given anything. Other ethnic groups came to this country, was given everything, land, everything, which is still the mindset of today. But to answer your question, the system has never been responsible for us. And these young people understand that. These young, when you think about how these children and they in their community and they never see anybody that looks like them, they go to any of these stores, any of these businesses, and no one looks like them. And a lot of times these ethnic group people have a tendency to carry on the same mindset of the majority of our community as far as how they disrespect us, or we allow ourselves to be disrespected. We allow ourselves to be subjected and to be feeling inferior based on because we have no power and no resources. When you have power, the Jewish community is never mistreated. The Chaldean, the Koreans, the Chinese, all these other ethnic groups are never disrespected because they have power, they support the police union, They support political lobbying. They support when they want their issues or their concerns met, they put money behind it. When we want issues and concerns, we want to go protest and march. And and most often in today's time, they want that. You see how they handle protesting, they bring the military out.
Yeah.
For peaceful protesting, they bring the military out.
Yeah.
So we got to really get back and really start educating each other the power that we have. And like you said earlier, I can only do so much by myself. How powerful am I being by myself? It's about all of us working together.
Absolutely.
It's all of us have to drink all of us have to eat. All of us have to want to live a decent life. You can do only so much by yourself, Mr. Johnson.
True.
Running for sheriff, you can do only so much. Your receipts, your reputation can carry you so far. But you need the community to take you over to the next level. The same, you need the community. We need those concerned people that's been sitting back saying, well, it's not at my door. A lot of times we say, as long as it's not at my door, then, it's no problem. But when it comes to your door, now you want some help.
Now you want some help.
We're trying to say,
That's
don't
true.
wait for it to come to your door.
True.
Yeah.
It's at your door right
That's
now.
true.
This COVID-19 has really, really told us something about our community and some wonderful things that we can do, and then some things we really need to work on as far as collectively mobilizing ourselves, where we can really, really understand the power of our dollar.
I tell you, through the COVID-19, and then here comes the George Floyd incident. I'm telling you, you talking about being hit twice and with something that's actually that just stirred the whole nation up.
Yes.
And then to see all groups of people come together, no
Yes.
matter what your race or whatever, from all walks of life, college students, you name it, to come together like that. I tell you, this is definitely a time for change. This is definitely a time for change. And actually, you can only protest so much. Then you have to start talking about reform and what's going to be done to stop it from happening. And that's going back to Mrs. Norman's plight for what she's been trying to do in her area, as far as for the in her business line of work is what I'm trying to say. It's really something when I hear how you're going through so many different changes, trying to improve what you're doing in your community. But then you have businesses out here that they applied for that money through COVID-19. They applied for the money and got $10 million. One business, I think it was in New York, and then called and said, well, you know what, I don't need the $10 million. We've been doing pretty good up to this time, and we're a $100 million business. But they gave them $10 million, and she can't even get a whatever, and should have been one of the main businesses where they started, because they told them to close their doors and not to open it up. And not to open it up.
Not to open it up.
So considered non-essential.
And how is that?
How is that?
That's why that guy up in, Clio said, I might be non-essential, but I'm open my business. And now he's fighting the system, bucking the system, and he's probably going to win. He already is kind of winning, so he's probably going to win. But she went through the same thing, had to close her business down, shut the doors because that was the governor's order. She should have gotten a check too. And I don't mean no little check for unemployment. I'm talking about a check for all your business expenses and costs that incurred.
I was denied.
See what I mean?
I will tell you,
how do you explain that?
I did apply.
Wow.
How do you explain that? You can't explain that. I don't even know how you can explain that.
Wow. And and speaking of
have
that,
mercy, Jesus.
just like Hobby Lobby and even the Los Angeles Lakers got $4.5 million, and they sent it back too. They got $4.5 million of the stimulus money, and the Lakers sent it back. But it's amazing that you applied and was denied. And see, there goes the real issue that we're dealing with.
Yeah, you're right.
When a person that's truly
they really
in need,
needed it. Really
truly
needed
in
it.
need.
Yep.
Now, the only thing that I differ with the young man that's fighting, because I do believe that this governor really was smart and she listened to the science, because it was important to shut things down, to not spread. I think we were blessed to some degree because we did adhere to what the governor was asking us to do as a community. We want to take this time to thank Ms. Norman for being here with us, and we're going to continue this dialogue and have her back. I want to thank you guys. This is Real Talk,
Yes,
and I'll
Real
give it over
Talk.
to our host, closing out.
We just want to say thank you, Ms. Norman, for being here. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your words and your enlightening us on what's going on in our own area, So we want to thank you for that. We want to thank the viewing audience, and we just say thank you, God bless, and stay safe out there.
God bless.
Bye.